Welcome back. We have missed you all, but also enjoyed a much needed break. We are so excited to be back for season 3, and we have some great shows planned, y'all.
Yes, we are back. While we were on break, we had a bunch of questions from you guys about navigating the unique challenge of summer. I think some of you are like, am I doing summer right? So, Brianne?
Yeah, here we are. So, summer's great, and also it's filled with things that can be extra challenging for neurodivergent kids. There are a lot of reasons for this, but a lot of it comes down to schedules, structure, and predictability. I so often hear from parents that they plan this thing that was supposed to be fun, like going camping or a camp for their kids, a trip. Notice I didn't say vacation, or going to a summer event, and it just ended up being so stressful.
Oh my gosh. I have some really good friends who are planning a trip to Ireland, and the mom at one point was like, should I cancel this? Because it is actually my bucket list trip. And I can already feel how stressed it's going to be to bring my whole family
Yeah, probably
and
not
my
the
little
bucket
kids.
list trip you planned, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I was like, "Oh, yeah," because exactly, it's a trip, not a vacation sometimes.
Yep.
And as parents, sometimes we need a vacation from our trip.
Yeah, we do. Indeed.
Yeah, totally hear this all the time. So today, let's talk about summer and the activities and why it's supposed to be fun. Well, I mean, we know why it's supposed to be fun, but why it can be hard and how we support ourselves and our kids through the summer transition and all of the changes that come with it. Hopefully, these ideas can help make things a little bit more fun, a little bit more stressful, turn down the dial of stress and up the relaxation and fun.
Yeah, less stressful. You just said more stressful, but you mean less stressful.
Oh, yeah. Mhm. Yes,
Uh-huh.
I
Yeah. Okay.
do. Less stressful. I meant to say less stressful, more relaxing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. That's the
Mhm.
one.
That's the
Here
one we're going for.
here we go.
Here we go. Welcome to Parenting Neurodivergent Humans. I'm Dr. Morgan Beidelman. I'm a psychologist, former teacher, parent to two kids, one of whom is neurodivergent, and I am neurodivergent myself.
And I'm Brianne Colpitz. I'm a school psychologist, parent to two neurodivergent kids, and I'm ADHD, which means I'm autistic and have ADHD.
So why can summer be so stressful and kind of hard for neurodivergent kids and neurodivergent adults? And really, a lot of it comes down to this kind of core idea that neurodivergent brains struggle with executive functioning. And it's kind of ironic because neurodivergent brains are like, I need space. I don't like a rigid routine. And also, the neurodivergent brain benefits from some type of brain, and really, like most humans do. I would argue neurodivergent people need a little bit more of a wide ranging routine, meaning, instead of they have the exact same morning routine, they have a morning routine and they kind of like pick and choose certain things out of it, for example. So they have a little bit more flexibility, more fluidity in that routine, but they really benefit from it. But like taking a step back, right? Like the summer is hard because of executive functioning. And executive functioning is really all of the mental load that it takes to do things. So it's like, the planning, the organizing, the prioritizing, it's kind of like holding on to a couple things in your head and being able to decide. It's all the million little tasks that go into the work that you're doing or like whatever your kid is doing. It's remembering to set the alarm. It's remembering that today is like Friday and not Tuesday. I actually had that happen this week. So all of that is executive functioning. And because it's extra hard for neurodivergent brains, once we get like habitualized to schedules, systems, and routines, we don't even realize like how ingrained they are, how reliant we are on them, and how much they actually reduce our stress, reduce our mental load, because it kind of like gets committed to a different part of our brain. And then we get to summer and we like shake the whole thing up. And so the mental load increases and the stress increases.
Yeah, I'm having a personal revelation over here.
Yeah, even myself, I'm like, oh, great, it's summer. I'm going to rearrange things and have people condensed into a different window because I now have the flexibility to see them during the day. This routine is like on paper, it looks so idyllic. In the lived experience of me, I'm like, that's
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
different.
Well, my spouse is a teacher and I set my own schedule. And summer, it kicks our butts every year. And we know it does. We know it's coming. And yet, every single time, we're like, oh, we should do this. We should do that. And it's just the overload of executive functioning. It is so much.
I think it's why so many of us, by the time fall hits, we're like, thank goodness, go back to school. And then
Yeah.
at the same time, there's kind of, for some people, there's like this internal guilt of like, oh my gosh, like, but I love my kids. Does that make me a bad person to be like, go to school?
Yeah, somebody else is doing all of those routines and schedules while kids are at school, and I
Mhm.
just have to worry about my own routine. So I think, during the school year, it's much easier to have repetitive schedules and routines. Not to say they're easy to develop. That's definitely its own thing, but by the end of the school year, you found your groove. You're in a pattern. You leave at 8 a.m. Monday you have swimming lessons. Thursday is therapy or whatever it is for your family, right? You got your days and you got your routine, and then summer comes and it just blows it all up. Everything changes. So maybe the program you found for your kids doesn't run the whole summer, so you have to, like have weeks that are on or off, or the program's only half day. I was just talking to my girlfriends about this, about how like some camp was like 9:30 to 2 or something, and they're like, how am I supposed to work? And like I'm just taking kids and picking them up. And then the traffic because other camps are getting out at different times, just managing all of those things. So maybe you got a kid at home, but somebody else is on sleepaway camp or whatever it is. You also might have family vacation or a family trip, let's say that. Or, relatives coming to visit in the summer. Whatever it is, chances are your week to week doesn't look as consistent as it does during the school year. Particularly for your kids, their day to day might not be as predictable or consistent either. When kids go to school, they usually know what to expect during the day. For younger kids, their classroom's probably pretty consistent, probably follows a pretty consistent schedule. And for older kids, the order of their classes, the times, those don't change. So they know like their bell times and when to get to class. In the summer, that can be different every day. And so it's incredibly challenging with the mental load, as you were saying before. Especially for neurodivergent people, the executive functioning demands constantly navigating new schedules, new situations. It can be really overwhelming, and all of this change can cause a lot of stress and anxiety.
Ooh, definitely. So, how do we support ourselves and support our kids? I know it kind of sounds like, okay, but honestly, making the schedule as consistent as it can be really helpful. And that is kind of in this idea of like control what we can control and let the rest kind of go. And of course, every schedule and every family is going to look different, and they might not be consistent in the way that we think of consistent, meaning like every single day it's the same thing. But if it's possible and it works for your family, like consider if there's one long program that your kiddo can participate in. And this might be more for like next summer, but if you're reflecting on this summer and you're like, whoa, that was too much, something to consider for next year could be like, is there one longer program that they might be able to do and they would be interested in? It can also be finding a few activities that you do consistently, like going to the library every Tuesday morning or going for a walk or playing outside after dinner. Even if it's not your whole day that's consistently planned, if there's just a little bit of consistency within each day, that can be really grounding for kids and also for us as well. Sometimes we talk a lot about kids, but a lot of times the things that are helpful for kids are also helpful for us adults.
Right, right.
We're all over here humaning. And I want to just make a note here because sometimes it feels like we have this pressure in parenting. Like we're in this moment of parenting where in March, we got to get them signed up for all the camps and we got to have them doing something every week and every day. And there is nothing wrong with that by any means. There's also nothing wrong with having downtime and having kind of like little simple pleasures that are done at low or no cost, that are done as a family. I remember a couple of years ago, our local library came out with this month by month summer guide of things to do. And it was like, go catch 5 ladybugs, or like try a new hike, or look at a blade of grass under a microscope. There was all these things that you could do that were completely free. And I had some tenants that were living with me, and I took the son, obviously with permission from the mom, while she was working. And I was like, hey, instead of him playing on video games, like, let's go do this. And it got to a point where he was like, hey, can we do one of the things off the list? Never underestimate the value of the slow and the simple things. It can lead to increased mental health, increased creativity, a better sense of well being and calmness. So, know that both can be really valuable.
So, thinking about ways to reduce the steps of all the things because that reduces the executive functioning. So, maybe you have pool bag that has sunscreen and along with it has swimsuits or towels or the goggles. We have like a bag that we always have the goggles in. Or maybe like your park bag that has like whatever you do at the park with you and they all your bags have sunscreen, right? Because can't leave home without that, especially in Colorado. And then maybe you have your packaged snacks. Like everything has a granola bar. Every bag has a granola bar. I have like one, two, three, four different bags at my feet right now that are all for different things, like the library bag and the bag that I have books in that I take to my office or whatever. And so use the bag system. Maybe this season we're on to bags instead of buckets. Anyway, having these little like things ready to go will save you the steps and like, oh, do we have the library cards in the bag or do we if we keep our library books in this bag, we know where to find them when it's time to turn them in. All those types of things. Keeping camp stuff together by the door. Basically, we're just encouraging you to have a system for your summer stuff. For kids, maybe that means using a lunchbox with the built-in ice packs so that they can just have their lunch and they can just put their whole lunchbox in the freezer. Maybe
Oh,
it's
great. I love those things.
yeah. Maybe if you have swim lessons or whatever, you're just in the like rash guard quick dry shirt so that you don't have to change before and after swim lessons because you're just going to like dry off really quickly. Whatever can save you time and thinking, do that thing. So, again, all about the bags for the various places. I feel like Morgan, you are an expert at this, even though you make fun of yourself for it, but you're like, oh, I have these things in my car because you're meeting clients in different places all the time. And I'm always like, no, that's next level executive functioning.
I have buckets in my car, literally.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
amazing.
I have an SUV, and in the back of my SUV,
Mm.
I have 3 big buckets that are like that line the trunk, and they each have a different purpose, and they're divided. I'm going off, but they're divided by like therapy tools, educational tools, celebrations and reinforcements. And then each of the buckets are divided in half, and it's younger kids and then teenagers and adults, so that I can find it. Now, does it stay that organized? No, but as long as I kind of like throw it in that general direction of the bucket, that feels like a win.
Yeah, yeah. So maybe, for families, you have your camp bucket in the car or whatever, or bag or whatever it is, some kind of container. Maybe you use those tubs or whatever if you have room for those in your car. And like one's the pool with all the sinkies and all the goggles and stuff you need at the pool. Maybe you like rotate towels. Like when you're doing this laundry, then you put out the other towels or whatever. So just encouraging you to take that like system approach to summer as well and kind of have a go bag for the different things that you do. So park and playground, here we go. Swim lessons or the pool, here we go. Camp or whatever. Just going out to look at blades of grass. Here's our just, like adventure box or whatever. So however that looks for you, just inviting you to consider that because it can reduce the executive functioning demands and as Morgan said earlier, like turn down that dial on the stress meter.
Speaking of that, I will say I have 2 other buckets in my car as well. One is beverages. I call them roadies. I always have like sparkling waters and regular water. and I just keep it out in the car. And then I have like other drinks, like soda water and things next to the car so that if I open it and it's low, I just grab them and plop them in. And then the thing that I take in and out are the ice packs, right? Because at the end of the day, if I don't have an ice pack, that's annoying, but at least I still have a beverage.
Right.
Um, and so I have that in one seat, and then or not in one seat, on the floor. And then I also have just like a bucket that I got, like a cloth bucket, and it is where we throw all of the cups.
Hmm. Yes.
Because you
Nice.
have a drink, like there's this like, and I don't know if this is anybody else's reality, but you like take it out of the center console and you're like, where do I go? And there's like a little bit at the end. And so you kind of dump it. And then you're like, now I have this cup. And so now there's just a place and they all go there.
You're
Mhm.
a systems queen. I love it.
The other day I was like, I have lost my coffee cups. No, they were in the cups bucket.
We have a barf bucket and a trash bucket in our car, so not really as exciting. I
But
like it.
helpful,
Yes.
potentially very helpful, especially
Yeah.
for motion sickness.
Uh-huh. Yep. For sure. Had to use it this week actually. So, yeah.
Good thing you had the system.
Yes. Yes, it was.
Another one that I feel like you're probably going to know what I'm going to say here, but another one that I really love is visualizing the week and helping your kid plan. I'm always a fan of a family meeting, whatever constitutes your family, and that can be bringing everybody together. It can be going through the week. Something that I'm adding now is having kids write their own schedule so that they're hearing it, but then they're also like writing down like for themselves so they have it somewhere. If writing is not their thing, they can kind of like draw out some of the things that they're excited for in the upcoming week, or they can share back what they're looking forward to in the upcoming week. And the reason I like adding that, it's my new addition, is that one, what it allows for is that the adult or whoever's conveying the information to the rest of the family, there's some type of feedback loop so that the kids are then confirming what they're hearing. They're starting to really think about it. And it can help reduce the like, you did the meeting, but then on Tuesday, they're like, you never told me.
Uh-huh. Yep.
Um, and
As
so
evidenced by your drawing right here. I did. No, don't use it like that. Yeah.
But also it gives a chance to express some excitement, some joy. What are some glimmers that you're excited about that in the upcoming week can be really, really helpful, especially like with and for your kids. For the adults, for teenagers, of course, I'm always a fan of some type of integrated family calendar, like through Google or whatever else. And then if your child is going to a camp, and if it's especially if it's like a week-long camp or it's a day camp, if you can get the schedule of anything possibly ahead of time, that can be helpful. The one thing that I would suggest for that is talking to your kids about like flexible thinking or the maybes or the what ifs. And this is the idea that like we can have a schedule and it's also subject to change. Sometimes our kiddos get a little like, but this was supposed to be the schedule, and it can create anxiety. And so you're going to have to navigate that for your family and knowing kind of how the constitution of your kids, if that's something that has a higher propensity, we might even incorporate into a family meeting like what are some examples of things that we could be like, the what ifs happened, or that I don't know's happened, so that as an anticipatory activity where they're thinking about like, okay, here's our upcoming week, we know that we have this plan, but it's also subject to change. Can anybody like think of some ideas of where something might go totally wrong or totally off the rails or not what we were thinking? And sometimes it's funny and kids will be like, we could do this or that. They're like, we could pop a tire and get stuck on the side of the road. Not funny to the adults, but sometimes the kids think
Right.
it's funny. But at least it allows you to both have a plan and hold space for the idea that sometimes plans change.
Yeah. For example, we've been having a lot of afternoon storms where we live, and it's like, oh, we had a water day planned, but it's storming, and that's a different kind of water that we can't play in because there's lightning. So we're gonna have to practice our flexible thinking when Mother Nature decides to do what she does.
Yeah. Just having the plan, but also being able to practice that flexible thinking can really just help reduce anxiety and increase feelings of safety and security, even within the idea that sometimes schedules change and flexibility is important.
Yeah, really good practice. Did we hit everything? Did we do the thing?
I think we did the
Oh
thing.
my gosh. First episode, season 3. So to sum it up, this can be a hard time of year. It's not just all in your head. It is hard. Summer is not just all sunshine and rainbows. It can be challenging. But finding ways to add consistency, streamline things, and help our kids know what to expect can help reduce stress. Remember, go to the pool if they like it again. Play out in the yard forever. Eat the PB&J every day. If it works, it works. No shame in that every day the same game.
Yes, if it works, it works. It doesn't always have to be this big old thing. You're doing a great job.
Yeah, you don't have to be a camp director to make it through summer. If it works, it works. Before we go, we want to give you a little update on some exciting changes for season 3 here at the podcast. We love building this community with you and are committed to keeping this resource free and available to everyone. We also want to make sure we can pay our editor and producer for all the work that goes into bringing you a new podcast episode every week.
Thanks, Erica.
Thanks, Erica. So this season, we'll be adding some ads to the podcast. If you know any great businesses that would be a good fit, send them our way. We'd love to collaborate. We're also launching a Patreon. If it's in your budget to follow us on Patreon, we really appreciate your support there. The link is in the show notes. Along with ad-free episodes, you will get occasional bonus content and access to quarterly live coffee chats with Morgan and I.
Man,
And
if you think it goes off the rails in the episode.
yeah, just wait. And one last thing, we're working on some podcast merch, including shirts, totes, and handmade ceramic mugs from our one and only editor, Erica Carpenter. She's multi-talented. Keep an eye out for those. We can't wait to share them with you.
Thanks for listening. We will be back next week to talk about summer learning loss. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss it.
If we're a good fit for you, follow us on Instagram. Dr. Morgan is at Dr. Morgan Beidelman and Brienne is at It's Brienne Colpitts. You can also find the podcast on YouTube and Patreon at Parenting Neurodivergent Humans.
As always, if you have a question or a topic you want us to cover, like this one, send us a note. You can message us on Instagram or use the Google form in the show notes. Thanks for joining us. See you next week.
Thank you. Just a quick disclosure. This podcast is for educational purposes only. It does not constitute a psychologist-client relationship and should not be used in place of an expert evaluation or therapy. One, done.
One, down.